From the moment of birth of a child with albinism, mothers face immediate and conflicting emotions. Surprised about the condition mixed in with the joy of their child. However, many experience negative reactions from their healthcare providers, partners, families, and communities. Their motherhood pathway can be that of thriving if they have support and access to resources, or it is a path of constant struggle and poor health for them and their child. This is why Mothering and Albinism Research Network has been conducting research in South Africa since 2019 to better the well-being and securities of mothers and their children impacted by albinism. In the Northern Cape, we hear about the challenges in accessing much-needed support. But the work of NGOs such as Albinism Advocacy for Access is vital in bringing mothers together in rural context. Mothers helping mothers to give support, education, and access to health and social services.
I'm 40 years old, the mother of a child with albinism, is 17 years old, by the name of Tato Kitumore. He's my second child for the four of children of mine. When Tato was born, I remember the time he came out, the doctor showed me that, yeah, he's a baby. Then I say, whoa, a white baby again. So I asked the doctor, why do I give birth to such children? Because the first one was like him. And then the answer from the doctor saying, no, unale the genes double swipe. And then my in-laws were saying that, no, it's because you were eating too much of mangoes and feye. I took my son to our local crash because by that time he was still young, and then at crash, it was I don't know how to put it, but it was not nice for him. Always complain when I come from work. It was this and that. Tato is not coping. Tato is aggressive to others. He's violent. He's beating other children. And then when I go to school and wanted to hear what makes Tato to do all those things, they're saying that no, Tato, the other child was looking at him otherwise, and then he got furious. Why are you looking like that to me?
Because I deal with children in school, I deal with children in different spaces. I've seen that most of the time mothers can be a source of advice, a source of wisdom for other mothers who are new to having children with albinism. So it is very important that you support a mother, because when you support a mother, you support a child.
Almost 2 years, it was a nightmare for me. Like, my community didn't accept my baby. They were saying it's a doll, it's a battery doll. I was like crying all over until there was word saying that stand up, you need to save most life out there. They need you. So it's where I stand up and I wipe my tears out and say, enough is enough. Let me go and educate my community members about persons with albinism.
Most of this disconnect between albinism being a disability and government departments accepting that albinism is a disability. Sometimes they get sent pillar to post because they want grant and disability grant, and that is one of the challenges. And also we see skin cancer cases increasing, particularly because this province is a very hot province. The sun is scorching hot, and so poverty and a level of not knowing if you should buy sunscreen or buy food. So that are the challenges that I experience.
In Gauteng, we see how the NGO Albinism Society of South Africa supports mothers with peer support, resources, and advocacy to the government for the disability grant.
Albinism is not known as a disability. It is only in 2015 when the United Nations declared albinism a disability. From time to time, you explain to government or government official that albinism is a disability, and you explain further to say albinism happens to all nations. The work we do as an organization, we do advocacy. We educate people about albinism. We work specifically with children. It is very hard for a mother who has a child with albinism. From the time they born and breastfeed, they ask themselves questions. So it is where Albinism Society of South Africa comes in to give counseling, to say, there's nothing wrong with your child will grow. And the frequent meetings of forming support groups so that other mothers see how their children are going to grow.
As a mother with child with albinism, fortunate enough for me, there are no that much challenges. When it comes to family and community, I was, blessed to be supported, especially my family. The main challenge that I face is on the education level, because as the child, moves from one grade to the next, that's where I have to go revisit the teachers in that particular grade and ensuring that the child understands, because as you know, so the sight becomes an issue.
I myself didn't know what kind of a child am I expecting, because remember, I'm living with albinism and the dad is not living with albinism. So what I knew from the previous doctors, remember that much. So I was advised I will never get a child living with albinism as long as my husband has got a pigment. So I didn't get that support. I was just surprised.
Usually the mothers with albinism or the mothers of children with albinism suffer discrimination because everybody asks who in your family looks like this and who is going to look after this child. What are you going to do? But we find that as having the Albinism Society, we have educated and we have gone through with people, with the mothers, to make them aware that this is not a curse. Remember, in South Africa, we are called names, and the discrimination is so wide that you even shudder to believe that I can have a child with albinism.
As an organization, Leona to that support, because we cope with the society, we accept the way we are, and also provide the lotions skin.
So Tina la Albinism Society sisebenzisana ne social development, siyapisana every month.
Some province abarifidi the grant as people with albinism, because they are not well informed or about what's happening. By then I struggled because Nekiliko, a certain province whereby we affected 2 years as I create. Then I went to another province whereby then just so why told no, then I gave any problem.
We meet monthly where they come and collect our dignity pack that is we've got from social development, and we organize talent shows where we encourage our children to come and showcase their talent. We've got picnics every end of the year, and we ask mothers to come together and teach one another. But our main core is to say to the mothers, there's nothing wrong with your child. Give courage to your child.
Our research shows the importance of health education about the genetic condition and how to care for the child. The earlier work of Dr. Jennifer Kronberg, who first conducted research on mothers and albinism in South Africa, continues to have resonance decades later.
What I've learned from my experience is that albinism is a manageable condition. People need a little bit of help to get to do what they want to do, but on the whole, it's a very manageable condition. And the only problem is the attitudes in the community, because the attitudes are sometimes negative, and that's a problem for people with albinism. I've done a study on mothers who gave birth to babies with albinism at Baragwanath Hospital. It actually showed that mothers were very shocked and upset in the beginning when they saw the baby after the birth, but that they learned to accept later on, and they learned to cope later on.
With my birth, was quite hectic at first because I went to labor for like 2 days, up until I had to go for an emergency Caesar. After the emergency Caesar, my baby was born. The doctors showed me my baby. I was like shocked at first, like, okay, what's going on now? Because at first I thought they gave me they showed me the wrong baby. I asked the nurse, "Are you sure this baby's mine?" And she said, "Yes." Wow, it's so exciting, eh? But do you actually realize what kind of baby you have? I said, okay, I was quite confused because I was in pain at the same time, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. The doctor said to me, "Your baby has albinism."
It's very important for them to understand at the very beginning why they had a baby with albinism. And the main reason that they had a baby with albinism is because of the genes that they inherited from their parents.
Hi, I'm David. It's so lovely to meet you. My name is Zandi and I'm a genetic counselor.
When I came here for the counseling, everything went well. Everything went well. We were asked a few questions, and everything, it was just natural. Everything was easy. And so my access to eye care and skin care, I received from the very first day at Baragwana when I had her. So after I gave birth, because all the doctors were coming to me from, they were coming from different places. They came for me for interviews, and from day one, they gave me appointments for the genetics, for counseling, for skin care, for eye care. So up till to date, they taught me a lot. So from day one, when I had Gani, so I learned a lot up till to date.
So essentially, you learn the important aspects about what causes albinism, but you also learned about how to take care of your daughter with albinism.
During the project recently conducted in South Africa by the Mothering and Albinism Network, we heard from mothers about the life-changing moment of giving birth to a child with albinism. We learned that peer support of mothers supporting mothers makes for thriving families. Moreover, when you support a mother, you support a child. Advocacy groups are vital in facilitating access to resources like the Disability Grant and Sunscreen. Healthcare education like that provided by genetic counseling teaches families about how the albinism gene is inherited from both parents and about the importance of dermatology and ophthalmology referrals in the first year. Peer support, advocacy, health education and access to skin and eye care, all in the context of an inclusive community and human rights, support mothers on the pathway to resilience.